Do you know what today is? It's White History Wednesday. Hey, how you doing? It's your girl, myalamis. And White History Wednesday was specifically made for the people who said, why do black people need a whole month to tell their history? And for that, I give you 52 days. Every Wednesday, I'm telling white history. You ready to hear it? Here you go. So, a lot of the times when I'm having conversations with people, they love to say, oh, y'all ancestors sold y'all. So, I want to talk about how American history is written from the gunman's perspective, right? So, in Africa, Africans sold their own people. There was something called the Age of Terror. Have you ever heard of that? So, it talks of Europeans going to Africa with the latest weapons and raining down terror, going to homes and saying either I'm going to grape your wife or I'm going to grape your daughter. If you don't make a decision, I'll grape both. Or either you and your son come with me or I'll grape your wife and your daughter. So it was like they had a decision to make. And it wasn't like it was made with flowers and rainbow. It was made under duress. Isn't that illegal? So if placed in said situation, what do you think that does to a family? What would you do if somebody gave you an ultimatum that way? Would you let somebody grape your wife? Would you let somebody grape your daughter? Would you, let them take you in order to save your wife and your daughter? Would you let them take your son just to save you, your wife, and your daughter? How would you handle that situation, since y'all love to say, oh, Africans sold their own people? So do you really think they voluntarily sold their people? Okay, so now I want to talk about the burning of Black Wall Street in 1921, because there are details that a lot of people may not know how this thing started. So the destruction of Greenwood and the assault on its citizens began on May 31st, 1921. It was called the worst public disturbance since the Civil War. At the time, Greenwood was very likely the most prosperous Black community in the country. Okay, that means they was living large, taking charge. They didn't need nobody. It all started Monday morning, May 30th, 1921, where a 19-year-old African-American shoe shiner named Roland was working a stand in front of the Drexel building in downtown Tulsa. Roland went inside the building to use the third floor segregated bathroom. The elevator operator was a 17-year-old Caucasian girl by the name of Sarah Page. And what happened is still disputed, but I'm going to just tell y'all what I found. She said Roland left the scene after he grabbed her arm and made her scream. But Roland hurried home and told his family that he tripped over the elevator threshold and he accidentally grabbed her trying to keep his balance or whatever. And she screamed. So he ran because he knew he was going to get in trouble. So everybody told him, you need to lay low for a while. And he did that. But the Tulsa Tribune, which is their paper, published NAB N-word. Y'all know what that is, for attacking girl in elevator, right? So later on, Walter White is his name. He was the person who was investigating the incident for the NAACP. He wondered why so many people was willing to believe that this young boy was crazy enough to really do that at a time where everything was so heightened, because a few weeks prior, somebody else was, I know what I'm saying. And then, and it was a whole uproar about that. So why do y'all think he would be crazy enough to do something like that with the height of things? Anyway, so this time the police feared that the angry mob would come and, Roland. So they moved him to the top floor of the jail to kind of hide him, right? So in the Black neighborhood, they was like, I'm tired of this. We're not going to let him do this to one of ours again. We're not going to let them do this again, right? And I want y'all to pay close attention to what happens next, because this is what happens at a lot of our protests, okay? I need y'all to pay attention, because nothing's ever changed. They just got more slick about it. So one of the people said, we're not going to let this happen. And 25 men went downtown and the sheriff turned them around. The sheriff was like, don't worry about it. We got it. And then another group of 30 men went down and he was like, we got it. Y'all just go home. So then the angry mob reached nearly 1,000, and then 50 Black men feeling anxious arrived. They wanted to protect him. And the sheriff was like, you need to leave. So then when the sheriff told them that they need to leave, they were turning around to leave. Okay, I need y'all to hear this key point. They were turning around to leave when a 78-year-old survivor by the name of Robert Fairchild, which I wouldn't call him a survivor because he started it. Anyway, he saw that one of the Black men had a pew-pew, so he tried to reach for the man pew-pew and was like, what you gonna do with this? And the man said, he said N-word, where, and I'm saying this verbatim, he said, N-word, where are you going with that pistol? He said, I'm going to use it if I have to. He said, no, give it to me. And the Black man said, hell I will. And then they started tussling over it, and that's how the whole massacre started. That's how the entire massacre started. The angry mob broke into some ammo stores there. And then they really went and they tore the city up. When I say tore the city up, they tore the city up. They was breaking into pawn shops and stores. They were looting houses. They were robbing the houses. It was an all-night battle. Many residents was taken by surprise when bullets just ripped through their walls of their homes and stuff like that. It was, yeah, they did a lot to the point where there's not even a definite number of how many lives were taken. So everybody's always saying black people don't know how to have peaceful protests. No, we have peaceful protests till somebody come that don't have no peace, and then all hell breaks loose. Anywho, next I want to talk about the reason you have to be a certain age to get married. I know a lot of people may not know this story, but there was a Caucasian man in Tennessee in 1937. He was 22 years old. His name was Charlie Johns. He married his 9-year-old neighbor, Eunice Winstead. Okay. She told her mama she was going to the store to get a doll and came back married. And her mom actually supported this marriage, saying, oh, he's a nice boy and da 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 da. And a lot of people thought that was weird. Like, why does a 22-year-old want to marry a 9-year-old? Like, that's very weird. And then they went on to have 9 kids. And here's the kicker. Out of their 9 kids, their 17-year-old daughter wanted to marry a 21-year-old boy, and the father got upset and sent him to jail. Ain't that the pot calling the kettle? You married a 9-year-old, but you mad that a 21-year-old want to marry your 17-year-old, so you get him arrested? Okay, if that's not a double standard. And then just to put a little sprinkle on this here White History Wednesday, I want to talk about 2 people. I want to shed a light on 2 Caucasian people who actually worked with us, not against us. So the first one is Reverend Bruce Clunder. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Bruce Clunder. He was protesting segregation. He laid his body down in front of a bulldozer because he was taken up for black people, and they ran him over. They ran him over. And that's crazy because that's one of them. That's one of y'all. And y'all going to run y'all own, like take his life for trying to protect other people's life. But then y'all use God to justify the things that y'all do. That wasn't God-like. It wasn't. And he was a reverend. I also want to talk about Anne McCarty Braden, who organized with Rosa Parks, and she helped organize other Caucasian people to join the civil rights movement. She was against redlining. She also bought a house in her name for a black couple because they were not allowed in the neighborhood. So I do want to point out that all of them ain't bad. There are some good. However, the fact that they would do what they do to us and also do what they do to their own people just for not agreeing, don't that sound familiar? Okay, y'all had a day y'all deserve. Happy White History Wednesday.